What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about Pokemon Legends Arceus and my hopes and wishes for the game and what it would need to have in order to be a 10 out of 10 game for me. Now some of you guys might remember that earlier in the year, I made a video called what Sinnoh remakes would need in order to be a masterpiece, and that was a video going by the assumption that we were going to be getting Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes this year that were going to be in line with Pokemon Generation 8 in terms of Pokemon Sword and Shield, using like the same engine and developed by Game Freak. And then of course we had that Pokemon Presents that happened last month, and it pretty much threw everything out the window because now we know that there's actually going to be multiple Pokemon projects that are going to be taking place in the Sinnoh region, and that there's actually different things going on. So we are going to be getting Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes, but they're not even going to be developed by Game Freak. They're actually being made by Ilka Inc., which are the guys behind Pokemon Home. And I thought that it was going to be using the Generation 8 engine because every single remake that we've always gotten has pretty much used the same engine as the new generation that it's been in, so I pretty much assumed it was going to look like Sword and Shield. But now we know that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are going to be using like this more retro chibi type of art style, so it's definitely much different than what I initially thought. And I think everybody was expecting Diamond and Pearl remakes to be like the only Pokemon Sinnoh games that were going to come out, but now we know that they're actually working on two projects, being Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, as well as Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it definitely seems like that Pokemon Legends Arceus is the one that they're putting much more of their effort into. It definitely looks like it's going to be like the next evolution in the Pokemon franchise, like what they pretty much said in the video. This is the one that's being developed by Game Freak, the actual Pokemon developers, and it looks really cool, so I think that this game has a ton of potential. And there's definitely a few things that I'm a little bit concerned about, but I feel like that this game could easily be one of the best Pokemon games of all time, and actually does have the chance of being a 10 out of 10 game and one of the best games on the Switch. And so that's why in this video, I want to talk to you guys about everything that I feel like Pokemon Legends Arceus would need to do in order to be a 10 out of 10 game that everybody would really love. Now I'm going to make this like the other video where this is going to be part one, where I just give you guys my thoughts on what I would personally really like to see inside of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and then you guys can comment some things that maybe you would like to see in the comments down below, and I'll also ask you guys on Twitter, and then we'll take all of your responses and put them together for like a part two, and we'll take a look at some of yours. So if you guys want to be featured in that, then definitely be sure to go and follow me on Twitter at Aero. But yeah, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that I've got here are the graphics, and if you guys want my honest opinion, I think that Pokemon Legends Arceus' graphics aren't really terrible. Like, I know some people on Twitter were saying that it was like really bad, but like, coming from Pokemon Sword and Shield where we had this,
what the hell is this?
It's definitely a step up, and because of how this game is trying to do so many new approaches to how the main series Pokemon games are like, I can't really be that disappointed with the graphics. Like, obviously in comparison to other big adventure games already on the Nintendo Switch, if all of these games are at 100 right now in terms of how the graphics are and how they look, I would say that Pokemon Legends Arceus is currently at like a 75, but who knows, by the time that this game comes out, maybe they could even polish it up to be close to like an 80 or an 85, but I definitely do think that we're kind of getting there, so I can't really complain that much about the graphics. And also another thing that I feel like a lot of people don't really think about with the graphics is we don't know exactly when this footage was taken that was shown to us for the first time. Like, obviously we got this game revealed to us on February 26th, but that doesn't mean that Masuda and his team decided to record this on February 25th at night and we're like, okay, we're gonna show this to them tomorrow. Like, they probably planned that video like months before in advance, so who knows, maybe the game might even look a little bit better than how we actually saw it, but we didn't actually see the most recent version of it. It's always a possibility. Now, one thing that falls under the graphics that I feel like would need to be fixed by the time that the game comes out, that I'm sure a lot of you guys probably did notice within the initial reveal trailer, is the frame rate or the FPS in the game. It definitely did not look the best, and it was kind of laggy. I remember seeing like the Chingling just stuttering while it was jumping around, so that's the type of stuff that I feel like would need to get polished by the time that the game releases. And like I just mentioned, who knows, maybe this might have even been fixed by the latest version of the game that they're working on, but they still got like a whole year and a half to work on this game, so I do feel like that this will probably get fixed by the time that the game comes out, but that's something that would be an issue if the game does release and it still has like these stuttering animations. Now the next thing here is the map design, and I've said it before, but my favorite region is actually the Sinnoh region in terms of the map design because of how there's so many different types of locations and environments. Like, we've got Eterna Forest, which gives us like that whole entire forest atmosphere. We've got Snow Point City in terms of like the snow area. We've got the big cave with Mount Coronet right through the middle of the region. There's a lot of different varied locations that you can find throughout the game. And I really hope that Pokemon Legends Arceus also has these different types of environments. I feel like that would really need to be important, because if the entire game just ends up being like this big grassy field area that they've kind of shown us, it will get a little bit boring. And we can easily tell that this game, like, even if they don't want to admit it, like, we all know for a fact that this game is heavily being inspired by The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It just makes a ton of sense. I mean, we've seen interviews where they've asked Mr. Masuda and Mr. Omori and like other people at Game Freak, like, have you ever considered making a Pokemon game like Breath of the Wild, where you've got like a big open world type of Pokemon game? And so they've heard how we've wanted a Breath of the Wild Pokemon game for so long, so without a doubt this game is inspired by Breath of the Wild. I mean, they even went for like the same exact trailer shot when they revealed the game, so even if they don't want to admit it, we all know that this game is inspired by Breath of the Wild. And the thing about Breath of the Wild is that it also had many different environments. Of course, at the beginning of the game, you started out on the grassy Great Plateau, but then later you were able to discover so many of the other environments within Breath of the Wild, like some of the snowy areas, the forest, the volcano area, the desert area, and that's what I really feel like that they would need to do inside of this game as well. And we've already seen from the games on the DS that the Sinnoh region does have these different types of environments. We've got Snow Point City with like the snow area, we've got a cave with Mount Coronet, we've got Eterna Forest, we've even got a volcano area with Stark Mountain. And so that's one of the things that I really hope that this game does have. I really don't want it to just be like this one generic grassy type of environment for the entire game. I really hope that there are different types of locations and environments that we can discover. Also, something else that I've got here with the map design is towns and cities. Now, because of how this game is taking place in feudal or old-fashioned Sinnoh, it is pretty unlikely that we're actually going to see like big modern cities like inside of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, but I still feel like that there should still be some little towns and villages that you're able to discover, because even in a game like Breath of the Wild, there were still little towns and villages that you were able to discover, like Rito Village and Kakariko Village. So I think it would be kind of cool if within Pokemon Legends Arceus you could still find little villages with people there to talk to, and I think it would be kind of cool if you could actually find like the foundations of some of the bigger areas that we find in modern Sinnoh with like Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, where like instead of like Veilstone City, which we find in those games, maybe in this game you could find like Veilstone Village, where it's like a really small little town with only a couple people there, but that's what ends up becoming like the foundation for Veilstone City in like the modern Pokemon Sinnoh games. I think something like that would be so cool if you could find like the little foundations of all of the big locations and cities within the Sinnoh region. I just hope that there's still some NPCs or other characters to talk to, because with this game taking place before the concept of a Pokemon trainer has been invented, there's obviously not going to be any gym battles or any trainer battles, and I don't want this game to just feel like an empty wild world where you don't really have anyone else to talk to besides just finding wild Pokemon. So I really do hope that there are some little villages with other people or NPCs that just help you learn a little bit more about the game and the world, and just other people that you can actually talk with. And then the last thing that I've got here with map design is that I really hope that there's an actual incentive to explore. I really would love if they had little secret areas and hidden secrets that you were able to discover by just finding different locations yourself. I think it would be so cool if you could do that. And we already know with this game from the leaks that you're actually going to be able to glide on Pokemon, ride Pokemon, and climb things. So it seems like it's going to be really cool. And I think it would be so sick if you could find little secret areas and places that a lot of people wouldn't really discover if you decide to go above and beyond and actually explore and find all these little nooks and crannies. So I really hope that they decide to do that. Even in Breath of the Wild, if you adventured off and discovered like a little nook or cranny, there was always like a little secret reward there with some money or like a really cool item or something like that. So I hope that the Sinnoh region is full of that within Pokemon Legends Arceus as well. I really don't want it to just be like a very straightforward basic open world. Really have some little secret areas and things that a lot of people would actually have to go and discover themselves. And finally, the last part that I've got here in terms of what I would really need to see inside of Pokemon Legends Arceus is of course the most important part, and that is the gameplay. And by far the absolute most important part about Pokemon Legends Arceus for me is that I really hope that this game actually does have some type of adventure or story. See, with the initial reveal for the game, they talked about how it's going to take place in feudal Sinnoh, and you're actually going to be working for the professor with a goal to create the first ever Pokedex for the Sinnoh region. Now that by itself does sound like a really cool concept because it's never been done before for a main series Pokemon game, but at the same time I can definitely see this kind of getting a little bit tedious or boring, where if that's the only thing that you have to do this entire game. For pretty much every single open world game, one of the most important parts is having a captivating adventure, something that keeps the player engaged and wanting to keep playing, because open world games can be a hit or miss type of game for many different people, where you really need to make sure that there's something interesting that wants to keep the player playing to try to discover more things, because if they just get thrown into a very big open empty world, then a lot of people might just get bored roaming around in it and finding Pokemon and catching them, and after a little bit it might just not seem fun anymore to kind of have to walk around for so long and just find different different Pokemon. So that's why I'm really hoping that there is some type of story or adventure. And that's why people loved Breath of the Wild so much, because it did have this type of adventure and story, where as soon as you awoke from the Shrine of Resurrection, you went out to go and free these divine beasts, which had so many of these other tasks and other characters that you would end up meeting and helping them out. You were recollecting parts of the story through the flashbacks that you were getting throughout the game, and then ultimately going down for the final showdown against Ganon. And it was all of those things that made the game so memorable for people. Can you imagine if all of Breath of the Wild was just you awoke from the Shrine of Resurrection and all you did was roam around in all of the Hyrule world and you found some shrines, you collected some good weapons, and then all you did was go to take down Ganon at the end of the game? A lot of people would not have liked that game at all. It would have felt very boring, and a lot of people would have just gotten kind of tired of it, because that's all the game would have been. It was because of that sense of exploration and doing the stuff with the main adventure and meeting other characters like Teba and Yunobo and Riju and these other types of characters and helping them and freeing the divine beasts and getting flashbacks with the story. That's what made the game so memorable, and that's what I'm really hoping that Pokemon Legends Arceus has with some type of adventure. I mean, we're basically talking about the god of Pokemon in this game, and they've got infinite possibilities for the different approaches that they could take for having a very interesting and engaging adventure or story. So I really hope that they do decide to do that with Arceus, like really have some type of really interesting story about this Pokemon, because we're talking about like pretty much the Pokemon that created everything. Like there's so many cool things that they could do with this Pokemon. You could have like a villain team that maybe wants to take advantage of this Pokemon and abuse its power to create like their own world or do something else with that. They could have like little parts of the Arceus lore sprinkled around throughout the game. Like there's a lot of different things that they could do, so I really hope that there is some interesting and captivating adventure for the game. The next thing that I've got here are cutscenes and voice acting, and this is something that's very crucial for having an adventure game like this, where you really need to have some cinematic cutscenes if you want to get some really cool epic moments across. And even in these moments, if you're going to have characters talking, definitely have some voice acting, because Pokemon has definitely been missing voice acting. It should have been in Pokemon Sword and Shield. There were definitely some moments in that game, especially with like Pierce singing, where he was just not saying anything, where it just seemed very weird and awkward because it didn't have any voice acting. So I feel like with this game, they really should have some voice acting for the main characters. They can still have a silent protagonist like how Link was in Breath of the Wild, but also have some voice acting for the other characters when they're interacting with each other in the cutscenes, and it's really from doing that and having some action-packed epic cutscenes that are cinematic that really adds a lot to the game and makes it super fun. All of these big adventure games on the Switch have some really epic, action-packed cinematic cutscenes, and it's from looking at these types of cutscenes that makes the game so memorable. Can you imagine how sick some of these cutscenes would look with Arceus doing some godly Pokemon attacks? Like that's something that I would just love to see inside of this game. And finally, the last thing that I've got here for what I would love to see from Pokemon Legends Arceus is some little side quests and mini things that you could do inside of the game as well, because I really hope that this game does have some type of sense of adventure to it and that there is a good amount of playtime to it. I really don't want this to be like just a game that you're kind of finished within like 20 hours of playing. Even a game like Breath of the Wild and big adventure games like Xenoblade, you usually end up playing those types of games for like 40 to 50 hours just because you're exploring in the world so much and discovering all the little secrets and locations instead of just charging through the main story. So I really hope that they decide to do that with Pokemon Legends Arceus, where they decide to have some like little side quests or mini games or things like that that you could do while you're still having the main adventure, because that way the game can definitely have a lot more playtime. And so yeah, there you go guys, that is everything that I would love to see inside of Pokemon Legends Arceus and what it would need to have in order to be a 10 out of 10 game for me. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please be sure to click that like button and also comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of this. How do you guys feel about some of these things? Do you guys agree with me? What are some things that you would love to see inside of Pokemon Legends Arceus? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Pokemon content in the future, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos. I'm probably going to put up a tweet in a couple days asking for what you guys would love to see inside of Pokemon Legends Arceus. So definitely be sure to go and follow me so you can be featured in that. Also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo. So definitely be sure to join that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.